सीधे सेना की तरफ से प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस की जा रही है, उसका रुख कर लेते हैं ऑपरेशन सिंदूर की पहली बरसी पर।
A complex multi-domain operation in a remarkably compressed time frame. The operation also showcased indigenous capability. A significant percentage of the weapon systems, munitions, rockets and missiles, sensors and electronic warfare suits that were employed were developed and produced in India. The BrahMos, Akash, advanced surveillance and targeting systems, along with homegrown ammunition and spares, all played a decisive role. Indigenous equipment meant not only just self-reliance, but the flexibility to tailor these to our operational requirements, sustain and maintain supply chains, and to respond with speed and confidence. Operation Sindoor proved that Atmanirbhar is not just a slogan, it is indeed a force multiplier. Today, over 65% of our defense equipment is being manufactured domestically. I also want to speak here of our exit strategy and escalation control. In an era of prolonged conflicts around the world, we struck hard, achieved clearly defined objectives, and then decided to cease hostilities when the Pakistanis were compelled to negotiate and requested us to stop. The objectives were achieved through a calibrated shot and sharp shock that altered the enemy's risk appetite and disrupted his command and control, without locking India into a long-drawn war or conflict, the ill effects of which we are seeing in ongoing conflicts around the world. This measured approach reflects the maturity of our strategic culture and the professionalism of our armed forces. Finally, the operation placed enormous responsibility on every arm of the state. Intelligence agencies provided the accurate information that is so critical to precision targeting. Cyber and electronic warfare units maintained information dominance. The government managed the international environment, as also the internal security and public reassurance. The armed forces executed the kinetic phase with discipline, precision, and minimal collateral impact. This multi-agency, multi-domain coordination will remain the template for future operations. Operation Sindoor was not an end. It was just the beginning. और यहाँ पर जन कवि दुष्यंत कुमार त्यागी की एक मौलिक रचना का प्रभावशाली अंश मैं आपके सामने रखना चाहता हूँ। सिर्फ हंगामा खड़ा करना मेरा मकसद नहीं, सिर्फ हंगामा खड़ा करना मेरा मकसद नहीं, मेरी कोशिश है कि ये सूरत बदलनी चाहिए। India's fight against terror, ladies and gentlemen, will go on. A year on, we remember not just the operation, but also the principle behind it. India will defend its sovereignty, its security, its people, decisively, professionally, and with the utmost responsibility. Jai Hind.
इस पूरे ऑपरेशन को अंजाम दिया गया।
Good afternoon, friends. Today, it is 1 year and 15 days since the horrendous Pahalgam massacre. And as my friend Rajiv alluded, exactly 1 year since our first weapons hit the target. The Pahalgam incident in itself is an incident for which no amount of condemnation and no amount of repudiation will ever be enough. We cannot bring back our fellow countrymen who were massacred in cold blood on the 22nd of April 2025. but we can certainly resolve to ensure that such incidents are not repeated. Operation Sindoor, which remains paused, is an effort towards that resolve. Since times immemorial, we have lived with a simple philosophy of live and let live. But when our desire for peace is mistaken for weakness and our silence is taken as absence, there is no choice but to act. And when we act, there are no half measures. It is decisive, it is lethal, and it translates into Operation Sindoor. A decisive yet calibrated response targeting the perpetrators and their backers. As Rajiv has alluded, going into this operation, our higher directions were very, very clear. The objective was clear, and the forces were given full operational freedom. Jointness was built into this operation from conceptualization to execution. The COSC, which comprises of the CDS and the 3 service chiefs, deliberated every option and calibrated every decision. Thus, with an absolute clarity of action, a successful joint operation was launched to destroy the terror infrastructure in POJK as well as in Pakistan itself. And when that first weapon hit the target on the early morning of 7th May 2025, that decisive flash, ladies and gentlemen, was the strength and the resolve of the people of India being projected into the enemy heartland.
तो देखिए, ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के 1 साल पूरे होने पर सेना की तरफ से प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस कर इस ऑपरेशन के बारे में जानकारियां साझा की जा रही थी और ये भी कहा जा रहा था कि इस ऑपरेशन का अंत नहीं है।